All right, hey everybody, welcome. It is the 23rd of December. It is Tuesday, 10:30 p.m. and we've got some breaking news. That's why I'm holding this emergency live session like I did 2 weeks ago on Saturday night. But we've got some big stories that are breaking right now. So wherever you are, if you're tuning in, welcome. And we got a lot to talk about right here. So, first of all, the the Epstein files. A new Epstein files tranche has dumped about 30,000 new files, a lot of crazy stuff. Okay, and we're going to discuss some of that. Not going to deep dive it too much, but what I want to discuss right now is the connection between the Epstein files, what has just been released, okay, and then connected with that, the Epstein files release connected to instability internally in America, okay, which is becoming more and more pronounced, and the fall of the political elite in America, okay? This is something a lot of people aren't talking about that much, but we're going to talk about this tonight because I want to bring this to you as soon as possible, as soon as it's breaking. And we're going to talk about aggression from Russia, Vladimir Putin's aggressive moves, why we've never taken them to task, okay, on the Ukraine war. Not just interests, as we've said, not just America first, as we've said, but are there other reasons? You know, also China. Why is China becoming bolder now? Now, also, another Venezuelan tanker has been seized and allegedly hit just recently, only a few hours ago. And China is issuing stark warnings to the United States. China possibly getting involved in the Venezuela conflict as well, too. So we're going to connect the dots tonight. We're going to talk about how all of these things really connect, how it's not just the Epstein files, okay, although it is, but it speaks to a larger problem in America, okay, and how our political elite, which used to be a very tight circle, kept each other's secrets, kept running the country, had the good of the country. But this divisive rhetoric, which has really been amplified and become worse and worse over the past few years, has grown to a point where the secret keeping is no longer there, right? The support's no longer there. You're seeing major news outlets are actually turning their backs as of today, also on the president, allegedly, from what I'm seeing. Okay, so we're going to talk about all those things and how this lack of stability makes the wolves come to the door, makes the sharks circle, it makes the hawks circle up above, okay? In other words, China and Russia are licking their chops. They see instability. They don't care. They don't care about what the details are. But what they do care about is they know this is their time, okay? And so we're going to talk about how the Epstein files, how World War III, the road to World War III is here. World War III, how it begins with the Epstein files causing instability, causing American turmoil, causing the infighting and quasi-civil war of America's political elite, which is going to cause all kinds of hell to break loose, in my opinion. And we're going to talk about that tonight. First of all, a couple shout-outs. What's going on, Doc? How you doing? Jenks, what's going on? Hey, thank you, Doc. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm trying to cover it real time. I'm gonna shoot from the hip tonight a bit. Okay. Unsecure signal. What's going on? What's going on? Great to have you guys here. So let's get this going. Okay. I'm gonna open this up with a quick video. Okay. And I think we're already very well aware of what's going on with the Epstein files. A lot of their channels are covering that. But what I want to do quickly is I want to play a little quick video that's going to touch on some more of the Epstein files right now and just kind of get a flavor for it. If you haven't been tracking this, if you're like me and you don't always have time, to take a look at all these things, then we're going to touch on it right now, give you the context, give you the overview, and then we're going to dive right in and we're going to hear from Dr. John Mearsheimer, professor, a great strategist, who's going to talk about what this means in terms of World War III in the international arena, okay, where there are real wolves and real sharks. I mean, let's not forget, World War II started from the likes of Hitler and from the likes of people like Stalin, the Japanese Imperial Army. There are really different ideologies out there that, the world out there is not like it's Disneyland. Everyone's our friend. Everything's safe, okay? We are walking into some very tough times where you have a desperate Russia, you have a desperate China. They see weakness in the United States. They see infighting, okay? Despite our best efforts to show how strong we are with Venezuela, okay? we're bogged down in a proxy war in Ukraine as well too. So we're going to cover all this. I got fired up about it. I got inspired because I thought this can't wait till Friday for my normal live. We'll be on live for 6 hours and I won't do it justice. So I'm going to do some of it tonight. We're going to do some more on Friday. We're going to have a great Christmas, of course, on Thursday. Okay. And everyone's going to hopefully everyone's going to have a wonderful time on Christmas, but let's get right into this. What's going on, Becky? How you doing? Good to have you. Appreciate you joining me. Hopefully all the usual suspects can make it here, and let's get right into this. All right. I'm going to first of all play this first video so we can set the stage of what's going on. So as you guys know, okay, we've had another 30,000 new Epstein files released. Now, a lot of channels are covering it, all the way from the major news outlets to, our other good buddy over there, Nate at Valhalla. He's covering things like that and has done a great job with it. But today, even more things came out. As of midnight last night, the D.O.G.E dropped another 30,000 files. Some very damning evidence has come out, okay? And I'm not going to get too deep into the particulars. I'll talk a little bit about it because I told you guys I didn't believe there'd be a smoking gun. But if there's not a smoking gun, there looks like possibility of some prior knowledge of a lot of these things, going on. So on the part of the president, okay, it's not looking too good. So what does that do though? That's what we're trying to look at more largely. What does it mean for all of us aside from, us being very upset and disgusted by, what we're seeing? What does it mean on the international stage? What does it mean for our country, for our position, possibly for our economy, for our way of life, for our system of government, as well too? But we're going to talk about all that. First of all, let's set the stage and let's take a look at this here, okay?
Well, now that I've seen the next tranche of documents involving Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, I know why he's tried so hard to cover up his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell and cover up the cover-up of it, because his name is all over these files. And different sources, including Jeffrey Epstein in his own handwriting, have accused Donald Trump of effectively being a pedophile or allowing a prostitution ring to run at Mar-a-Lago. We've got subpoenas being issued by the prosecutors in the Department of Justice several years ago. We got a handwritten note by Jeffrey Epstein that somehow was mailed 3 days after he was hanged to Larry Nassar, of all people, the doctor who sexually assaulted and raped members of the Olympic gymnastics team. You've got the one I want to focus on here is the FBI report of Maria Farmer, who, along with her sister, Annie Farmer, were one of the early sexual abuse victims, rape victims of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. We know it's her FBI report because she has.
Okay, I'm going to pause this really quickly here. And so if you're just arriving here right now, we're going to do a deep dive into how the Epstein files latest release is causing us really to be closer than ever to actually going to World War III. Okay. And we're going to connect the dots on this and what it means for America in turmoil, for our leadership in turmoil, for, if it's not the people at civil war, our leaders more and more in turmoil and a lack of belief in our leadership and our government, all things like that. These things that are happening, which, by the way, is textbook exactly what the Soviet Union would have wanted in the past, what the Russians want, what the Chinese Central Command, what they want as well too. It's their style of gray war, asymmetric warfare, unconventional warfare, all those things, but especially asymmetric warfare, okay? How they can bring about the fall of the United States, and it's a long, long campaign. We've talked about it before on the channel, okay? We definitely talked about it before, but what the first step in this long campaign, which Vladimir Putin, by the way, was a part of it as a KGB officer 30 years ago, was the first phase, which is going to last 10 to 15 years, okay, is the destabilization, disinformation phase, okay? But guess what? We're doing it for them. We're doing it for them. We always thought that they were the ones going to be running all this, disinformation on us. We're actually doing it for them. So how much truth is there to the old rumors about possibly compromise? That Russia or Putin had compromise on key U.S. political leaders, including our current president. How much truth is there? I don't know. I don't want to go too much down the conspiracy theory trail, just going to, tease your imaginations a little bit because, remind you of some of the things that have been said, which now real time are popping into my mind and why I'm bringing them to you. Okay. As you guys know, if you're regular visitors here to the channel, I don't do much conspiracy theory stuff. I like to dive into the facts as much as we can, try to keep, keep the mud out of the water, so to speak. Don't muddy the waters, and look at what we actually have. Well, what we actually have right now is we have, no kidding, Epstein files being released, which are pointing figures to our president right now. Okay. If not a smoking gun and saying that he is guilty of a crime, definitely that he knew more than we thought. Okay. And so I'm just going to put this in the chat. I want to get an idea about where you guys are at with your situational awareness. And I'm just going to ask, have you seen the latest dump of Epstein files? This way I know what your knowledge level is there, and I know how much to cover in the background and how much not to cover, okay? Before I dive in and I connect the dots, just like the title says, okay, the title of this live stream basically saying World War III, how World War III begins, Epstein files, America leadership in turmoil, America in turmoil, and the collapse of the American political elite, okay? How I'm going to connect the dots with all those things. And again, this is a hasty target with almost no preparation for me, but in my background, I had looked at a lot of these things, strategic leadership for countries, and how countries collapse, how they go to war, and how leadership and governance and all those things and government structures and transparency, all those things matter so much. So I'm just diving right in and doing this. Yeah, unsecure signal, you're 100% right. Huge national security implications. Pearl Harbor got us involved. Yeah, all these things. So I appreciate you guys being here with me tonight and spending some time. We're going to cover this and get into it. I think it's definitely, like I said, an emergency session, something that I didn't even foresee doing tonight, but I just thought it's going to be too much for my regular live stream on Friday night. So we're going to cover it right now. So far in the poll, we've got 67% have not seen the latest dump of Epstein files. Okay, so I'll spend a little more time on that. Okay, and to make sure that, and please vote. If you see this right now, you see the poll, please vote because I want to know how much time to spend on the Epstein files dump if you haven't seen these yet. Hey, thanks, Doc. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm going to shoot from the hip best I can right now. But I'm going to cover a little bit more. Please vote. Tell me what your prior knowledge is right now, your knowledge of the context of the latest dump of Epstein files and what has come out, because it's some pretty damning stuff. You guys know on my previous live streams, everyone, hey, what's going on, Steve? Yeah, late one tonight. We got an emergency session tonight, Steve. A lot of stuff has come out that I think it's going to be overwhelming to cover on the Friday live stream. And so I want to hit this tonight, and then we'll go again live at 7 p.m. on Friday night as well, too, and dig in deep like we normally do for a normal show. So let's cover a little more context here, guys, but there is some pretty damning evidence that has come out. One of the most damning pieces, I will have to say, is the postcard to Larry Nassar. Okay. Larry Nassar is the former Olympic trainer that is accused of molesting and raping all these young girls that were on the U.S. Olympic team, the gymnastics team. Okay. I guess Epstein sent him a postcard and basically said, hey, we shared a love of young girls, of these young nubile girls. And guess what? By the way, our president shares the same love as well, too. And he understands and he gets it. Now, this allegedly was a postcard that Epstein sent. And again, track with me here, okay? He sent this postcard 3 days after he died. Okay. Possibly he knew he was going to die. He said they're going to kill him, or he committed suicide. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate on that. I'm just saying the bottom line here is that, he sent this postcard to Larry Nassar saying it's too bad it all ended this way. We shared a love of these young girls, but so does our president of young nubile girls. Now, could he have been making this up? Could he have been making this up in order to try to, stick President Trump on his way out? But, maybe. But I don't know. This is what they have. This is the evidence. Okay, let's play a little bit more of this. We can build our context as we go. All right, here we go. And please like, share, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Really help me out. Subscribe definitely so you don't miss any of my crazy unscheduled live streams that come up. I usually am live on Friday nights and on Sundays. And obviously I have pop-up targets sometimes on Saturdays or days like today. So definitely subscribe so you make sure to get all the notifications. And then share this right now, though, too, if you think someone would be interested in this deep dive tonight on how the Epstein files are destroying the political elite within America and changing the game, and also putting America in turmoil, which is how we are going to arrive at World War III, as my theory right now. So let's watch a little bit more context, setting the stage of what just came out. Here we go.
Has outed herself along with her Maxwell. We know it's her FBI report because she has outed herself along with her lawyer and identified it. Let's start with Maria Farmer's report. Here it is. We'll post it up on Legal AF Substack for our paid members. The date on this is the subject's name, Jeffrey Epstein, character of the case, child pornography. Complainant stated, and this is dated September the 3rd of 1996, almost 10 years before any active investigation was opened up against Jeffrey Epstein. Think about the untold thousands of girls who could have been prevented from being his victims, along with Ghislaine Maxwell and others, if the FBI had taken this story seriously when Maria Farmer.
Okay, so this is speaking really to the gross negligence, ineptitude of the FBI in this case. And I think a lot of channels have talked about that. A lot of people have talked about it. Okay. Again, I don't fully understand it, how you can't pay attention to something like this, and how suddenly we have, now a child predator out there. He's already been showing that he's into these things, and he is on the loose, and he got a sweetheart deal later on, and so on and so forth. And the bottom line is, a lot of people were hurt in the process. However, that's not the main part of the story. The main part of the story is he had co-conspirators to the tune of anywhere from 10 to 25 big names that have been named by the FBI, have been said that they already know about who they are. They won't release them to the public. I believe on the Hill the other day, one of the congressmen or senators was starting to read a list of names. He had gotten a hold of a list of names. And I think Kash Patel did not acknowledge any of them. All right. But again, the context here again is, how does this lead us to instability internally in the United States? How is this the collapse? Really, we're witnessing the collapse of the political elite as we know it. Okay. Because no matter what, both sides of the aisle have been each other's secret keepers in a lot of ways for a long, long time. Why haven't they wanted these Epstein files to be released when the Democrats, they held them for how many years? Almost 20 years, I believe. Almost 20 years. Would not release them. Okay. Ongoing investigation, so on and so forth. No one pushed for this thing. All right. And so now they're all coming out. And I think a lot of big names are going to be involved. And we're going to see, more and more fighting, more and more problems among the political elite. And I think it's going to be I think we're going to look to see changes in our system. That's what I think. And I can't describe exactly how that's going to take place, but it's important for us to paint the picture and look at the context here, okay? We're going to watch a little bit more of this, and I want to keep building up your situational awareness because, again, looking at the poll, let's take a look at the poll. And if you haven't voted yet, please vote in the poll because I want to see where we're at. Okay, I've got 62% said yes, they've seen the latest dump of Epstein files. I've got 38% said no. Okay, so I'll cover a little bit more. I'll make sure that we are John Podesta. I see that unsecure signal. Yep. James Elefantis. Okay. And we will get into this. What's going on, Rondone? If I get your name wrong, I apologize. And so, okay, I'm going to end the poll there. Appreciate you guys voting. Again, put your questions in the chat. I will get to them. I'll open up a Q&A as well, too, with this, and we will get into it and talk for a little bit about all this stuff, all right? Let's watch a little bit more of this video, build our situational awareness so all of us are operating from the same picture and the same knowledge So as I begin to talk about these things and these theories that we're all tracking, okay, I don't want to just start, flying off, going into things that I haven't fully explained yet. All right, here we go.
Made a report on September 3rd of 1996. Think 10 years of your life. Here's the report, the complainant form. Complainant stated that she is a professional artist and took pictures.
Scroll ahead a little bit here.
Stole the photo. So she claims that she took photos and then trafficked them. Epstein at one time requested to take pictures of young girls at swimming pools.
Okay, this is less
So
about
it's Maria
Epstein.
Farmer that if she tells anyone. Now, if and this was FBI in Miami had taken that in on 2nd Avenue.
All right, guys, I'm just trying to get to the part where we talk about NASA and a few other things.
Would have been saved had the FBI done its job in to a 2020 complaint that came in. And here's what it says there. This was received by the FBI. The date received is October the 9th of.
All right, guys, just bear with me 1 second here. I want to get to a specific spot in this video. I'm sorry I don't have it keyed up. Again, this is an emergency live stream, breaking news. I wanted to hit you guys up with the latest, greatest, connecting the dots. And again, if you're just joining us right now, one of the dots I'm trying to connect is that how China has just basically given a huge warning to the U.S. and maybe getting involved in the whole Venezuela conflict, okay? Because an oil tanker bound for China with Chinese oil was hit by the U.S., okay, and disrupted or captured or seized. And I have to get to the actual report, but it's new, and this is something I want to connect on as well too, because while we are unstable, we are emboldening our adversaries, no doubt about it.
Where they were both roommates in 2000, and she believes that Villanueva now goes by Ghislaine Lisa Villanueva and sells real estate in Irving, California. They said that in 2000, she was invited to a.
Okay, I'm going to switch this one, and I'm going to open up a Q&A in a minute here as well too with you guys. All right, and you can put any questions you have in the chat. I will answer them as they come up. Yeah, Doc, no, it's not good. It's crazy. It's definitely crazy. I'm going to put a quick, start a Q&A in here. I'm going to put a Q&A, live Q&A, and I'll get to your questions. Just go ahead and put them inside this Q&A. Okay, there it is. Here we go. And again, I'm just trying to build our situational awareness right now before I connect all these dots. If you're just joining us, what we're going to be talking about is how the release of the latest tranche of 30,000 new Epstein files has really how it's really going to lead to us being destabilized, American turmoil, the collapse of the political elite in the United States, and probably lead us to World War III, okay? Sounds like a big stretch, but it's not, as you will see here in a minute. I'm just going to build our situational awareness right now. What I'm doing is going from big to small. We're going to talk about the current situation, what has been released, why it matters, and then how it's affecting our status and standing and our power in the international arena. Because one thing you have to realize is this, okay? We got to realize this, that power is something that lives on in the minds of people, okay? We can have military power, but deterrence power really is something that's even more powerful because you can get influence and get the results you want without having to go to war. All right. So it matters so much. And so I think the less influential power we have in the minds of all the other leaders in the other countries and states out there in the international arena, the more we have to do, the more we have to risk ourselves, the greater likelihood we have to go to war. If they don't believe that our president has the ability to gather the American people together, to back him for war, to back him economically, to back him on his decisions. And he no longer, if he has a divided House, okay, and even his own party is falling out against him, as we see with Marjorie Taylor Greene and we see with, with what's going on with these Epstein files, okay? You don't think Putin sees this? You don't think President Xi in China is like, now's the time? They'll run right over Taiwan, okay? And you don't think Putin and Xi are friends? You don't think they could do something coordinated? And now with Venezuela, we'd have a 3-front war, okay? So what I'm saying is that if we have internal stability, as our founding fathers said, no one will conquer this country, but it will first fall from within, okay? And this is what I'm saying to you, is that we are doing it for them. We're doing it for Putin, for Xi. We are at each other's throats right now. I'm not just talking about the bases of each party. That's definitely happening, okay? But now the leadership actually, not just the usual fighting either. We've got on both sides of the aisle crazy crap that's coming out in this Epstein files, all right? And I'll get to your questions in a minute. Please put a couple more in there and I'll hit it in 1 second. Let's watch this. And actually, I'll get to your question right now here. Unsecure signal. Let me go ahead and bring this up. Okay. Unsecure signals asking, do you think Trump is in the redacted photographs with whom? I do. I do think he is. And I don't know with whom, probably with a lot of women or other leaders. That's my guess. I think more than seeing him with underage girls, which unfortunately in my research today in the past few days, which I'm going to bring up on Friday at my Friday live stream, unfortunately, I'll say this because I don't have any evidence to show you right now, but they said there was a photo redacted. Someone came forward and said of the president with, some young girls at Jeffrey Epstein's Mar-a-Lago estate. Not his Mar-a-Lago estate, but his estate in Florida that's near Mar-a-Lago. Okay, I think it's West Palm Beach, somewhere like that. And unfortunately, they don't know the ages of the girls, so I can't say if they're underage, but they're young ladies, right? Young models. And you could, in one side, you could argue this is normal, okay? Because he did run all these modeling agencies. He ran the Hawaiian Tropic, the Miss America, Miss Universe, all these things like that, okay? So on one hand, you could say, well, there's nothing criminal about that. I agree. But what it speaks to is prior knowledge of all these things going on, okay? And there are a lot of newly released files that are connecting the dots saying that, President Trump was on the airplane, Jeffrey Epstein's airplane, a lot more than previously was said. These files are coming out, okay? And other things as well, too, which hint at prior knowledge. Again, no crimes, no accusations are clearly being spelled out there, unsecure signal, and there's no smoking gun yet, but it's kind of like it's creeping in closer and closer and closer, okay? And we don't have all the files yet. More and more is coming out. And the crap that was released on Sunday, and on Saturday and on Friday with total pages blackened out. And I want to say to you guys, as someone who has worked in the intelligence community and around national level intelligence and things like that, okay, you can protect sources and methods without redacting an entire page. You can still write to release. You can still, and half these victims are already, their names are released already. So, and they've already said that, we don't care. Release the damn names. Let us out there, okay? A lot of people are just saying we don't get it. If we already know about them publicly, why aren't we releasing these files? Okay? Who are we trying to protect? What are they trying to protect? I mean, we do deserve to know. And again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, guys. This isn't the channel for conspiracy theory. But when something gets hit in my face like this, I just feel as a leader, right? As a leader, I need to say something. And so this is what I'm saying right now. We're going to connect the dots, but more broadly, what we're going to talk about, and I'll get to your question here. I'll get to your next question here, okay? And more broadly, how I believe this will lead to World War III as the American position appears to be weakening. Okay. And I know a lot of people argue with me, well, we're doing all this stuff and all that stuff. Really? Okay. Okay, that's great. I've said it before. Putin has expended over 1 million lives to get Ukraine. Putin just threatened, and I'm going to play this video for you guys. Putin just threatened we may go to war with NATO by the end of this year, end of 2025. He just said that yesterday. Okay? She just gave a huge warning to the United States. You don't think they see a wounded leadership? The top level leadership is wounded right now here. And you don't think that these cunning, savage people with significant military capability will be trying to bring us down? Or let's not say to attack the United States or bring down the United States. I'm not saying that. That's very dramatic. But to impose their will in their sphere of interest, in their region, to be the regional hegemon, which previous to all this, the United States has always been. We've always been. I don't care what anybody's saying. Oh, 5 years ago we weren't. Really? Come on. Okay? We could impose our will anywhere we wanted to. Did we have some big blunders? Yes. Was Afghanistan withdrawal a blunder? Yes. All that being said, we still were the most powerful nation on earth. We still are right now. However, as the plot thickens and political will weakens at home, the appetite to actually impose our will to maintain this economic order, which has enriched us for so long after World War II, weakens. It weakens a lot. All right, let me get to your question. Okay. And I got to get my glasses. All my regular followers know. So if I get your name wrong, I apologize. Let's see. Okay, let's see here. Just one dude. Is it just one dude? Just some dude. just some dude. I love it. I had to pull the microphone off like the rock star here. All right. Would the Middle East be considered a fourth front? All the big players have their proxies in the region too, don't they? Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it would be a fourth front for sure. I think just look what they did. ISIS, okay, and I saw a fantastic interview today on Patrick Bet-David with this imam who really gave a great talk with Patrick Bet-David, very open. I encourage you to check that out if you want to know more about that, okay? Do I think so? I think that, yes, would the Middle East be considered a fourth front? All the big players have their proxies in the region. I think they would, because look what just happened in Syria with ISIS, okay? Now, do you think they know that we're having problems? Are they that strategic? Do they know that we are embattled at home, right? Our leadership, the current administration. And do you think they're savvy enough to make a strike against U.S. interests? In other words, our soldiers, to rock us at home. How much is that going to do for ISIS killing 2 soldiers? Nothing. Do you think that's, in fact, tactically stupid? Yeah. Okay. Strategically, though, what does it do? Strategically, it sends the message. Okay. It sends the message that ISIS is still here, ISIS is still on the map, and that they can hurt us. Okay. So it's a big strategic win for them. And not to mention, they know it makes us now open up a potential another military front. Not that we're going to go all in. We did it with strikes and bombs and all those things to give them payback. But there's only so much we can do when we have to worry about all these other places. Because guess what? If Putin invades Poland or if he hits a NATO country, Article 5 begins, and we must fulfill our Article 5 duties. Now, if President Trump decides to pull out of Article 5 in NATO, I think that's pretty stupid. I don't think we should do that. I think it's very stupid, because then Putin could just steamroll. Which leads me to another thing that I need to do a whole separate live stream on, okay? And I'll tell you what it is. I talked about it a little bit, but what it is this. If we ignore Europe and we say, Europe, do it alone, which is what we've been saying, who's the strongest person historically in Europe? Who's the strongest country? I'm going to ask you guys. Here, okay? Let's do this. I'm going to ask you guys in here, who is the strongest? Put it in the chat, okay? Put it in the chat what country you think in Europe is the strongest country that can deal with Russia, with a rising aggressive Russia? Put in the chat, okay? Hey, Sue, how you doing? Good to have you here. Exactly, Mr. Bruce Lee. I'm good from far away. I can't see up close. All these guys know it. David Workman, what's going on? Hey, man, I'm so sorry, David Workman. Sorry, brother. Hang in there. Hang in there, okay? I just lost my job today, you said. Hang in there, David. I'm sorry, brother. Yeah, I agree. Propaganda, yeah, I agree. It's being weakened on purpose. Okay, there we go. We see some UK. Yep. Every conflict we have to focus on that isn't China weakens our position. Thank you, propaganda. Thank you. Exactly. Germany, yes. Germany. Just some dude. Yep, that's it. Hey, Sue, so here we go. I need to say this, and I was going to do a special on it. I'll touch on it here. All right. Germany is rising again. Two things are causing. Germany's rising again, but the far right is rising in Germany. In other words, the neo-Nazis. Okay? Why? Number one, Russian aggression. Okay? Number two, closely, immigration pressures on the system, all those things. Okay? Pressures on their system from mass migration, culture clashes, all those things. But fuel that with Russian rising aggression, you're causing them to get more militant, which is marked by not just me saying this and feelings. It's also marked by Germany investing more money into its military than it ever has since World War II. Okay? And taking off the spending caps, having the first deployment, Germany finally deployed, I believe, to somewhere in the Eastern Front, maybe to Poland, or it might have been Lithuania, okay, which is funny because that's another country they invaded during World War II. All right? But Germany's on the rise, and we're forcing them to. We're saying, you guys do it. And when I tell you, I saw this video of this drone company, owner who looked like the guy from Indiana Jones. You know what I'm talking about? The one who says, "Oh, yes, Fräulein, let me show you what I'm used to." The guy from Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Okay, the German with the glasses who's like out to torture people. He picks up the thing and burns his hand. All right. He looked like this guy, and he sounded like him. And I thought, oh, my God. We are letting the Germans rearm, get aggressive again, start becoming militarized again. Is that a good thing? I mean, for right now, sounds like it might be. Okay? But I'm just saying, historically, according to geopolitics and a lot of research, the Germans need to start a war every 100 years for whatever reason. Whether it's, Lebensraum, it's more room, okay? Because of how big their population is. It's it's for whatever it is to try to influence and have a grip on the other countries to control things. I don't know. There are a lot of reasons for it, okay? And what would it be today? To fight against the Eastern threat, which, oh, by the way, was a big reason why they lost World War II, because they turned against the Russians, okay? And here we are again. History is repeating itself. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes for sure, okay? Disruptive. I've been in Ukraine to include the Eastern Front, an indigenous Ukraine unit. I will say confidentially that RU has ideology to reform the former Soviet Union. It will explain Germany's reforming. Yep, got it. Hey, man, thank you. Disruptive, that helps a lot. I appreciate you saying that. And I'm glad. Hopefully you came out okay out of all that. I appreciate you sharing that, though. That's huge. Yeah, France with Peng and the UK. I agree with you, France and the UK, but if Germany rearms, and Germany's big population, all that stuff like that, and a former martial culture, we shall see. We shall see, okay? All right, I'm going to play this next video before I go too far down that rabbit hole, but there's a lot at work here, okay? And President Trump has been very strong, and he is very strong in many ways, right? But this is like the huge chop at the Achilles heel. You can't lead. You can't unify people when all this stuff's coming out, all right? And they're subpoenaing people now from the Justice Department. So, and we have multiple concerns. Proxy war in Ukraine. No kidding, real acts of war happening down in Venezuela, right? And China's China, right? Huge strategic concern there, huge strategic competitor. All right, let's watch this next clip. One more scene setter, and then we're going to get into how this leads to World War III. Okay, again, the whole purpose of the live stream, if you're just joining us, how does this lead to World War III? Epstein files leading to American turmoil, leading to basically the collapse of the traditional American political elite, okay? And the destabilization, making us weak, not unified, and our enemies are like sharks circling, and the wolves are at the door, okay? And going to test us. They're definitely going to test us. Okay, check this out. This will explain a lot. This is Professor John Mearsheimer, and he has, this is really good.
The American Leviathan is bleeding. How domestic scandal and elite betrayal are inviting World War III. Good evening to you all. It is a pleasure to be with you again to discuss the state of the world, though I must confess, the picture I am about to paint is not a cheerful one. We are living through one of the most dangerous moments in modern history, a period that future historians, if there are any left to write the books, will likely describe as the end of the American holiday from history. What we are witnessing today in the United States is not merely a political scandal or a tawdry celebrity gossip column coming to life. It is something far more structural and far more ominous. It is the visible fracturing of the American political elite, the disintegration of the coalition that has held the center of power, and a level of internal incoherence that is inviting aggression from our great power rivals abroad. When the hegemon is distracted, when the Leviathan is busy eating its own tail, the wolves do not simply watch, they circle. And right now, the wolves are at the door. We have received a new batch of documents from the Department of Justice regarding the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. And while the media is obsessed with the salacious details of who flew where and with whom, the real story, the story that matters for the survival of the American empire, is the political mechanism at play here. We are seeing a fundamental shift in the power dynamics surrounding Donald Trump, and by extension, the stability of the American executive branch. The headline is that Rupert Murdoch has turned the New York Post and the Wall Street Journal, the twin pillars of conservative media influence, the very organs that once shielded Donald Trump with a protective layer of spin and deflection, have stripped away the armor. They are reporting the facts of these flights, 8 trips, not 1, not 2.
All right. Let's talk about this a little bit, okay? So I want to put this in the chat really fast. I'm going to put a poll up. Do you feel, I want to see what you guys think, because we got a lot of smart people in the audience here, okay? I'm just the one, up here moderating, getting you all these smart people together. It's like a big mastermind here. And I want to get your opinion. Do you feel like the wolves are circling? Do they sense, I want to hear what you guys have to say. Do they sense weakness? I want to see what everybody thinks, okay? Because I think it's important we all learn from each other. And, and sometimes people point things out to me in the chat that I can learn from, and I can consider that I didn't consider before. And I say, I didn't think about that. So please, you guys, let's all learn from each other. Put it in the chat. Hi, Ben. I'm Paul in San Diego. Just subscribed. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate you. Love the topic of geopolitics you're covering. Appreciate you, GQ guy. Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Very cool, man. I appreciate that. Like number 19. What's up, Paul? Yep. I agree, propaganda. All right, let's see what everybody says here. Okay. 100% so far saying yes. 15 votes, yes. 10 votes. Okay, 10 votes, yes. Again, my eyes are going nuts. You guys understand that. I saw some of you laughing about it. Mr. Bruce Lee, you know what I'm talking about. I also think the wolves are already buried within. Yeah. A nation can suffer fools, a nation cannot suffer traitors from within. Ain't that the truth? That is 100% the truth. And everybody who's been on here knows I'm not someone who's like, I'm politically independent, everyone. And anybody who's been following me for a while knows, I usually do a lot of personal development stuff. I'm trying to help people to make their lives better. The whole purpose of my channel is to help people make their lives better, help me to grow and everyone to grow. But I do cover the context we operate in, the world we live in, because we have to. We have to face it. We have to talk about it. And how can we deal with the chaos that's out there, okay? And this is a big one we need to make sense of. And as you're saying, Disruptive, traitors from within. When I took my oath of office, it was, against all enemies, foreign and domestic, right? So our oath was to the Constitution. And that's a very important distinction. For anybody who took an oath, as part of the military or part of the government, it's all the same. Yeah, I hear you, Paul. I think back in 2017 when other Americans started turning on people for being patriotic. Yeah, it's a lot of crazy stuff. Yeah, you feel like they've been circling just some dude? The whole balloon thing a while back. Well, let's talk some more about this, okay? I appreciate you guys voting and putting that in there. And again, put your questions in the chat. Okay, I'll open up another Q&A here in a minute. Let's continue to watch Professor Mearsheimer. He's got a lot of good stuff to say, and his ideas, are tight. And it really was very thought-provoking for me, and I want to make sure I shared this with you guys when I found it. Okay, here we go. Let's hear a little bit more from him.
Reporting the facts of these flights, 8 trips, not 1, not 2, but 8, with a cold, clinical precision that signals a strategic abandonment in the world of power politics.
Hold on, I'm going to see if I can turn this up a little bit. It seems a little bit quiet. All right, here we go.
There are no accidents. When a media empire,
there we go.
The world of power politics, there are no accidents. When a media empire that has spent decades curating political outcomes suddenly decides to report the naked truth about its favored son, it is not because they have suddenly discovered a conscience. It is because they have recalculated the cost-benefit analysis. They have looked at the balance sheet of power and realized that Donald Trump, in their estimation, has become a liability too heavy to carry. This matters because a fractured establishment in Washington creates a paralyzed foreign policy. Consider the timing. We are locked in a proxy war in...
Okay, we're going to get back to this in a second. I'm going to ask you guys again, though. I'm going to put another poll up here because I really want to get as much as I can from you guys. Got a lot of smart people in the audience. Do you feel, actually, just put a 1 in the chat if you feel that people, in particular news outlets like the Wall Street Journal, the Wall Street Journal for one, Fox as well, do you feel the news outlets are turning against Trump right now? Do you feel that based upon this latest dump of Epstein files? Okay, and if you're just getting here right now, but please put a 1 if you think that. If you think that the news outlets are beginning to turn against Trump, in particular the Wall Street Journal, Fox News, I believe I think he said, not the New York Times, but the Post as well. But put that down. I want to see what you guys think. Okay, and I can put it in a poll as well too. Okay, Mr. Bruce Lee, 1. Yep. GQ guy, disruptive applications. Yep. Doc, the wolves may circle, but with the people, the lion. Yep. I don't think I've seen that one, Paul. No. Thanks, Sue. Thanks, Propaganda. Appreciate you guys filling me in there and responding with what you think. A lot of people thinking the same things. It's unbelievable. Yeah, I agree. And I'll say this too. I said many times for the past few weeks, especially after he signed it into law to release it, I said, I don't think we're going to have a smoking gun. I think they would have released all this stuff already by now. Okay. And is there a smoking gun? I don't think so. But the proximity, and it's like the proximity and the chance of him having prior knowledge of all this stuff. the wolves are circling outside our country, but it's closing in. The chance for him to say that he didn't know about all this stuff and didn't know what was going on, and to be at that level of leadership as the president of the United States, I mean, I just don't see I don't see how this doesn't end badly, I don't know. And that's why maybe all the redactions were going on. Unfortunately, I'm saying maybe. I'm trying to be kind. Everybody knows on here. I was saying I don't think we're going to find a smoking gun. I have faith that it would have come out. They found everything out about him. Little did I know, okay? And that's, I think, what they were trying to do is they were trying to redact everything so that it could be covered up, get on with it, nothing to see here. And that's why they didn't want it to be released before either. So I think we're going to find out more and more stuff as it goes. I think that might have been one of the reasons that people had said in the past that, Putin knew things and Putin had compromise. Possibly. All these things are coming back now. It's making me think of all these things. Okay. So let's go ahead. And watch a little bit more of this. All right. And again, guys, if you're new to the channel here, please subscribe. Please like this as well, too. Like, subscribe, and share. It helps us out here on the channel. And if you think somebody will get a lot out of this, please share it with them right now. Just go ahead and share it. And that way we can make sure we get as many people here as possible to check this out and to watch it then later as well, too, once it posts. But let's get into this next little part of the video here. And Professor Mearsheimer is going to explain more and more why this connection between the Epstein files, the collapse of our American political elite, okay? And maybe it's a little dramatic, the collapse, but, it's starting to teeter and starting to crumble, right? It's nuts right now. Okay, here we go.
Foreign policy. Consider the timing. We are locked in a proxy war in Ukraine that is going badly, a conflict where the Russians are grinding down the opposition through sheer industrial capacity and strategic patience. We are staring down the barrel of a potential conflict in the Taiwan Strait with a rising China that views American resolve as crumbling. And in the Middle East, the cauldron is bubbling over. Precisely at this moment of maximum external peril, the American domestic political system is descending into a chaotic freefall over flight logs and decades-old scandals. This is the tragedy of great power politics. The United States has all the latent power it needs to secure its interests, the wealth, the population, the geography. But power is not just about capability. It is about resolve and coherence. If the President of the United States, or the man seeking to return to that office, is bogged down in a mire of legal battles, blackmail potential, and elite abandonment, he cannot effectively deter Vladimir Putin or Xi Jinping. Do you think the leadership in Beijing is looking at the release of the Epstein files and worrying about the moral implications? No. They are looking at a paralyzed America. They are looking at a divided house, and they are calculating that now is the time to push. Donald Trump finds himself in a position that is familiar to students of tragedy.
All right. So I put another poll up there, guys. I want to see what you think about this, okay? Is American political will and support weakening from this? 100%. I have right now 5 votes, yes. Anyone else? And it's okay to have a dissenting opinion, okay? This is a supportive, friendly place where you can speak your mind there in the chat and say what you think. No one's going to jump on you. We're all trying to learn from each other, okay? And I want to encourage that as well, too, okay? We want to have a good collegial atmosphere, a good atmosphere of discussion, of debate, and where you feel you can say what you think or you can disagree, and it's okay. Not a big deal, all right? We don't need to have, you don't have to be afraid if you think, no, okay, yeah, there it is. I see a no. Okay, got it. American political will and support. And you might be right. You might be right. I might be, blowing it out of proportion maybe. I don't know. Maybe. But to me, my gut instincts and based upon my experiences and based upon things I've studied, I said I've got to get this out. We've got to talk about this. We've got to take this, to all the subscribers and viewers and people that are going to be able to watch this and see it, and let's have a discussion about it. But I personally think it is hurting us. I think it's going to hurt us until we right the ship, until we right the wrongs, until we clear things up. I'm not even going to say bring justice and all that stuff. I think for definitely for the survivors, but I'm saying until we clear it up, we create transparency, we're able to explain to the American people what the hell's going on, okay? When the dust settles, I think it is going to put us in a weaker position, without a doubt, okay? Yeah, right. I know GQ guy. It's insane. He's really got some, just some great perspective on this, okay? And we're going to watch a little bit more of this because, again, I think it's very important. It's a very important take, aside from saying how disgusting everything is. And, I'm going to open up with our Q&A here as well, too, okay? But aside from just saying how disgusting everything is and how bad it is, which it is, okay, he also is giving the why. Why? Why does this matter so much for American prestige, American power, American influence, American standing, right? And I'm going to show you. I'm going to connect the dots on how this is causing us some real problems out there as this is being released. All right, I'm going to open up another Q&A. You guys put your questions in. I will answer your questions. Here we go. And let's go ahead and get it. If you haven't voted yet, is American political will and support weakening from this? Go ahead and put your vote in, okay? If you're not currently in the chat stream, you're out there in viewer land, just go ahead and give us a vote right there. I want to get a good take on this, okay? Helps us all to learn and see where we're at. Okay, let's watch this next one. And put any questions you guys have in the chat, and I will get to it. We're going to watch a little bit more of this. I just think Professor Mearsheimer is doing a fantastic job explaining this better than I can, and I want to bring you guys the best and not just bullshit. Here we go.
Donald Trump finds himself in a position that is familiar to students of tragedy, but terrifying to strategists of national security. He is being encircled not just by his enemies, but by his former friends. When Marjorie Taylor Greene, a politician who has built her entire brand on unflinching loyalty to the Trump brand, begins to use words like evil in relation to the cover-up of these files, we are witnessing a collapse of the internal discipline that makes political movements functional. This is not just infighting. This is the disintegration of the command structure. A political party that cannot govern itself cannot govern a superpower, and a superpower that cannot govern itself cannot maintain a world order. We must look at this through the lens of realism. Realism tells us that states act to ensure their survival in an anarchic system. But for a state to act rationally, its leaders must have the political capital to make hard choices. The release of these files and the subsequent media betrayal by the Murdoch empire strips that capital away. It forces the political class to focus.
All right. There is a lot there to talk about, okay? He is bringing up so much. There's so much to talk about. And guys, if you have a question, you can put it inside the Q&A, but instead, I see I'm getting a few questions already in the chat. Put your questions in the chat. I'll try to find them. And let's see. I've got one here. Okay. Prime Element. I think I'm saying it right. Prime Element. Should military Tier 1 operators be put in positions of politics, or would that benefit the loyal people? Would that benefit the loyal people to this country? Well, here's what I think. I think they could be. I think they could be. But what I want to say is that because you're a Tier 1 operator doesn't mean you'll be a good leader in government, okay? Some could, but doesn't mean all will. All right, put it just, they're going to be good warriors. That's what they excel at, right? I think I appreciate what you're trying to say. It's the leadership, it's the integrity, it's the patriotism, it's the transparency, it's the training in, speaking the truth and having moral courage and having physical courage, all those things. And not to mention a lot of their backgrounds are, let's say it doesn't matter. There are a lot of military members, period. Doesn't have to be a tier 1 operator. That's a very elite, exceptional individual, and their skills and abilities are significant, profound, beyond significant, amazing. Okay. But any member of the Special Operations Forces, it could be any member of the conventional military, but has the right moral courage, physical courage, and they have the desire to lead. And also, they're willing to be held accountable and to follow the rule of law, all those things like that. So, communication matters a lot. And so I appreciate the question and what you're saying. And I think some could. I think some could do it. But I think they have to win over the people just like anybody else through the political process. I think just placing tier 1 operators in positions of political leadership. Now, I would say in the Department of War and certain political leadership positions, yeah, they'd be great if they were an appointee. But to hold actual political power, political office like a senator, congressman, elected officials. And if we're talking about elected officials, I think they have to follow the process of being elected. I think, that's part of what makes our country great is that we have the ability to vote, right? And you got to make sure you're exercising your vote, everybody. And exercising your voice, exercise your vote. It's very important. So hopefully that answers the question. Prime Element, let me know if they answer the question. I'll do my best with it. Hey, Mark, what's going on? Yeah, you're late to the party. Had an emergency session. We had an emergency session of the live stream here of the Ferocious Optimist channel and of the Ben Pappas show because of everything happening with the latest release of the Epstein files. And just as the title of the live stream says, this is how World War III begins. Epstein files leading to American political internal turmoil and leading to a collapse of the American political elite, which makes us weaker. And the wolves are circling, and they're going to test us. And we've heard a lot from several different sources, but Professor John Mearsheimer is really painting quite a picture right now for us. Okay. Hey, thanks. I appreciate that, Prime. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. I don't have all the answers. I got a couple answers, but with the help of you guys, we can all grow and learn together and figure these things out. And that's what the whole thing's all about. So let's listen a little bit more. And actually, let me ask you guys this. We've already seen it. So I don't want to kind of bait the witness. We've already seen it, but I'm going to ask you another question. Okay. Is President Trump being turned on by his own party? And again, guys, like I said, I'm politically independent. I was the guy for a long time saying there's no smoking gun. We're not going to see anything. And I've been, I'm a retired Marine Corps officer, right? And so I tend to be more conservative, even though I'm independent, especially when I try to support the commander in chief. But I got to call it like I see it, man. I got to call it like I see it, and I owe it to you guys. And this has been crazy. Yeah, I see a lot of the votes now. Yes, he is. Some saying no. Okay, got more saying no. Okay. I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys, your candor, and let me see here. I've got Doc. Yeah, I understand the why. Preserve our country at all costs, in my honest opinion. Yeah, you're right. Let's see here. Just some dude. We need better options to vote for these parties. Produce horrible candidates for the most part. Yeah, I know. Who wants to do this? You get your ass kicked. You get yelled at. Honestly, President Trump was a billionaire. He could have just lived that billionaire life, and he stepped up and ran for office twice, despite the risks, despite knowing things that are out there. And again, I'm not 100% convinced. I'm not 100% convinced that there's going to be some kind of criminal charges against him or someone saying that. But it's hard to say, hard to deny prior knowledge of all these things going on. Has he done anything wrong? So far, no one's saying that. Okay, they're saying it's slimy. They're saying he was not probably telling the truth about. He said he'd never been on Epstein's plane. He said that several times. He tweeted it. I've never been on that plane, Epstein's plane. In fact, he was on his plane about 8 or 9 times with his kids. So And we shall see. We shall see what's going to come out of it. But it's hard to deny prior knowledge. There are even some allegations that he had knowledge of a prostitution ring being run out of a Mar-a-Lago, which may be why he threw him out, right? Okay, so there are two sides of the story, 100%, and I'll let you guys decide. But the point of tonight is not so much that. The point of tonight is showing how this confusion is causing turmoil and causing us to be unstable, us to have less political will behind our commander-in-chief, less political will behind our president and, the leading party right now, having a divided house. And so, again, it sets us in a weaker position when it seems like even the structure of the American political elite is falling apart. It's falling in on itself, okay? It's collapsing, it's imploding, whatever you want to say. The bottom line is this. Putin's circling, Xi's circling, Maduro's probably not really laughing, but now that China is sending a shot across the bow to the U.S. saying, hey, we're going to get involved here. You're messing with us now, okay? They know their problems at home right now. They all do. They all know. All right, let's keep going. We're going to watch a little bit more of Professor Mearsheimer, and then I'm going to get into some other videos, okay, that are going to prove the point of what I'm trying to say. Here we go.
Focus inward to fight for their own survival in primary battles and impeachment hearings, rather than focusing outward on the existential threats facing the nation. The irony, and it is a dark irony, is that Donald Trump attempted to control this narrative. We see reports of pressure campaigns, of bringing politicians like Lauren Boebert into the Situation Room, the sacred space where decisions about nuclear war and peace are made to discuss political petitions to stop file releases. This is a corruption of the highest order, not in the moral sense, though it is that too, but in the strategic sense. The Situation Room is for managing the survival of the state, not the reputation of the individual. When you blur those lines, you degrade the institutions that stand between us and chaos. But let us widen the aperture. This political crisis is happening against the backdrop of an economic reality that is crushing the average American. While the elites in Washington and New York trade blows over legal briefs and flight manifests, the working class of this country is being ground into dust. We hear talk of tariffs and trade wars, policies that I have often argued have merit in a strategic.
All right, let's talk about this. He's bringing up some more things here. Let's talk about this, okay? This is, and I see, okay, end of the poll. Is President Trump being turned on by his own party? 67% yes, 33% no. I appreciate you voting. Thank you. Got another one for you guys right now. Another poll. Okay, we're going to start another one right now. So, do you feel the economy is worse right now than what is being said by the administration? And I think economics, feeling the economy is local too, okay? And that's why Professor Mearsheimer just said that. John Mearsheimer said that. But I think it's local. Some people aren't feeling it as much. Other people are really feeling it. So I want to get a poll from you guys what you're feeling. I've definitely felt it. I've seen business go slower, okay? For a lot of people and people I coach, my clients that I work with. If you guys don't know, I'm also obviously an executive coach. I help people to grow their businesses. I help leadership teams, entrepreneurs to grow their businesses and become better leaders. I'm an executive coach as well too. I do all that stuff. And so in the process, I work with a lot of people and that are in business, and I've heard feedback from them of different difficulties in business as well too in the economy. So quiet before the storm, Doc. Right? Hopefully not though. I know. Okay, let's see what the poll is saying. 13 votes, 92% yes, 8% no. Okay, do you feel the economy is worse right now than what is being said by the administration? Okay, some saying no, some saying, a majority are saying yes, a lot are saying yes. But like I said, a lot of this is localized as well too. Okay, let's shift gears here. I'll leave that poll up for a minute. And if you're new to the live stream, go ahead and vote. that'd be much appreciated. And again, if you're new to the live stream or new to the channel, please subscribe, like this video, this live stream. Don't forget to hit the like button, and then subscribe and share as well too. If you think someone will get something out of this, please share as well too. All right, let's go ahead and drive on, and let's talk about. We're gonna do a little bit more on Professor. I can't get away from him. I don't want to shut him down just yet because he's got so many great things to say. Okay, and then we will drive on though, because I've got some other great videos for you
Strategic
guys to take a look
sense
at.
if used to rebuild the industrial base. However, the execution has been disastrous. We have a situation where the former president claims that tariffs are making farmers rich, yet you cannot find a single farmer who feels wealthy. You have a political class debating the cost of pencils for school children, telling families that saving $30 is a triumph of governance. This is delusional. It is a detachment from reality that is characteristic of declining empires. When the leadership class can no longer accurately describe the economic conditions of its own population, it loses the legitimacy required to ask that population for sacrifices. And make no mistake, if war comes, and I believe the risk of major power war is higher today than at any point since the Cuban Missile Crisis, the government will need to ask the American people for immense sacrifices.
All right, I'm going to stop this there because this is a very, very sobering thing he's saying. Okay, so why does it all matter? He's saying that he believes now more than ever, okay, now more than ever in recent history, the chance for great power war, which means, China, U.S. versus China, U.S. versus Russia, World War III scenario, okay, not some easy thing, right? But major power, great power, conventional warfare, okay, high intensity conflict. He believes there's a high chance of that right now. Okay. And if that has to happen, if that happens, the American leadership of our country will have to ask for tremendous sacrifice of its people. And to do that, you need something called political will and political support. If you do not have the political will, meaning the backing of the people that follow your vision, and the leader cannot shape and share a vision and is not trusted, what he's saying, his words aren't trusted, then guess what? The country will not sacrifice. If the country does not sacrifice, if the strategic culture of the country no longer supports the sacrifice necessary to fight for national survival, well, that's how countries go away. Okay? That's how countries fracture, they fall apart, they disintegrate, or they're conquered. Okay? In our case, it'll probably be mostly the beginning of the fracturing, disintegration, fighting from within. God forbid civil war, but probably disintegration, fracturing, malaise, weakening, significant weakening, until another power rises enough that they can either conquer us or just disregard us and just put us off in the corner basically and ignore us, okay, to let us do our thing. So this is what he's saying. But in order for us to not sit idly by while China conquers the Pacific and Russia rolls through Europe, we're going to have to do something, okay? And if we're not ready to do that because we don't have belief in the political system, political structure, is very dangerous. By the way, I'll go back to it again. This is exactly what the Russian doctrine was and Chinese doctrine for defeating the United States. First of all, you need to sow so much disinformation, distrust. You need to weaken the foundation of belief of the people in the country, in the system. That's the first step. And that campaign of disinformation and weakening usually lasts between 10 to 20 years. I think 10 to 15 years, what I said last time. But about 10 to 20 years, and Putin was a part of that, okay? These are no friends of the United States. I just want to say that. But we're doing it for them. We're doing it for them. And again, this is the tie-in to the Epstein files, okay, everyone? This is the tie-in. Why the title of the live stream is that, okay? Why the title of the live stream is how we get to World War III, how World War III begins. Epstein files, American turmoil, collapse of the American political elite, all right? Weakening, the wolves are circling, war starts, okay? And as Professor Mearsheimer is saying, John Mearsheimer is saying that if we are not prepared to make those sacrifices, then we go away. Okay? I said maybe maybe we don't get conquered, but we're gonna have to sit by and let them just impose their will. What are we gonna do? Okay? So this is big. All right, everybody. If what I'm saying is resonating with you, put a fire symbol in the comments, okay? Put a fire symbol in the comment if what I'm saying is resonating with you, okay? I want to see everybody's tracking. Everybody tracking? Put a fire symbol in the comment if you are tracking with what I'm saying. All right? Yeah, that's right, Unsecure Signal. You're right. Hey, I appreciate that, Doc. Thank you. The cost paid in blood so we can even have this conversation. Have you been to Afghanistan or to Arlington? Yep. No other recourse. Home, boots in our soil. Yep, I've been to Arlington more times than I wish, my friend. Too many times. And I appreciate everybody. Thank you. Appreciate it, Super Slam. What's going on? Hard to find these fire symbols sometimes. I appreciate everybody. Thank you. Awesome. You guys are the best. Hey, Nick, what's going on, brother? This is an emergency session. I didn't know I'd go live tonight. Good to see you in here. Had some big important stuff I had to cover. It just popped up when I was going through and I saw some news. Okay, let's get into now. All right. Actually, that news. Let's talk about this. Okay? So guess what? It's almost as if Mearsheimer knows what he's talking about. Wow, imagine that. It's almost like Mearsheimer knows what he's talking about. Professor Mearsheimer that's just talking like he knows what he's saying. Imagine that. Wow. Almost as if on cue, one day ago, Putin issues a warning saying that we could be at war with NATO by the end of 2025. Here we go.
Russia just issued a warning that all-out war with NATO could happen by the end of this year. Let me tell you why they mean it and why we're sleepwalking toward catastrophe. You're going to hear a lot of people dismiss this as bluster, as Putin rattling his saber again, as propaganda meant for domestic consumption. Those people are wrong, and their wrongness could get us all killed, because what Russia is saying right now is exactly what great powers say when they believe their survival is at stake. This isn't theater.
Okay, so what I want to say, guys, and I'm glad this is John Mearsheimer again, okay? And what I want to say is this. If you watch my live streams in the past, I've said that dictators ride the tiger. Putin is a dictator. Putin is riding the tiger, okay? This is what we say in strategy. Dictators ride the tiger. What does that mean? It means that as a dictator, you're riding the tiger. And guess what? If you decide to get off the tiger is your people. The tiger is your country that you're controlling, that you own, but you're riding the tiger. That's your country. If you get off, that tiger will eat you. Okay? If you can't control the tiger anymore and it throws you off, it's going to kill you and eat you. That's why they say dictators ride the tiger. Right now, Putin is riding the tiger. Make no mistake. If he loses in Ukraine, if the war stops in Ukraine because they can't fight anymore and Russia's weak and Russia looks bad and they're embarrassed, the people in Russia, they will overthrow him. His own generals, his staff will kill him. The oligarchs will arrange for him to be killed. He will be killed. The only way out of this is through for Putin. I've said it a million times. The only way out of this is through. If you guys agree with that, put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat if you agree that Putin is riding the tiger and his only way out of this is to win either through a peace agreement where they get the territory, it shows he won, or he keeps the war going. Okay? Put a 1 if you agree with me on this. Put a 1 in the chat. Yeah, exactly, Disruptive. Put a 1 in the chat if you guys agree with that, okay? I want to see. Make sure I'm tracking with everybody. Everyone's tracking along. And if not, we can talk about it. Awesome. Appreciate you guys. Fantastic. All right. Let's keep on rolling here. We're going to watch a little more of John Mearsheimer. Again, very lucky. I forgot that I found him again. He's a great one. No doubt about it. Here we go.
This is the logic of the security dilemma playing out in real time, and we're ignoring it at our peril. Let me be clear about something. I've been warning about this for over a decade. Back in 2014, when Crimea happened, I said that if the West continued pushing NATO eastward, if we continued treating Russia like a defeated power that had no choice but to accept our terms, we would end up in a major war. People laughed. They called me a Putin apologist. They said I was stuck in Cold War thinking. Well, here we are. Russia's warning of all-out war with NATO, and suddenly my Cold War thinking doesn't seem so outdated. Here's what they won't tell you on cable news. Russia isn't bluffing. When a nuclear-armed great power tells you that it sees an existential threat, when it tells you that it's willing to go, or to eliminate that threat, you should believe it. Not because Russians are crazy or suicidal, but because that's what states do when they believe their survival is on the line. It's the most basic principle of international relations. Survival trumps everything. Let me walk you through the logic, because this.
All right. So, again, I think it's good for us to see both sides of it too. You'll hear some people say, well, and again, it's easy to understand the logic that, well, they're the aggressors on Ukraine, and yes, and the war is horrible. Lots of people have been killed. Russian side over 1 million. Ukraine has lost, hundreds of thousands of people. Territory, savage, terrible. But as he's talking about, when they see an existential threat that NATO keeps pushing eastward, and they were treating Russia, pushing it around, and so you have this reaction. But the point is this, that if Putin's saying he's going to invade Poland and he could be at war with NATO by the end of the year, we should take him very seriously, okay? And again, connecting the dots, Epstein files, trouble at home, lack of belief, lack of political will, lack of political support, okay? Collapsing American political elite cohesion, okay? When things are on the line, wars on the line, national survival's at stake, typically they can reach across the aisle and support each other. Right now, things are more chaotic probably than they've been in a long, long time. I won't say as chaotic as during the Civil War, obviously, but very chaotic, very contentious. And at the very top, we've got an embattled commander-in-chief who right now probably does not have as much political support, nearly as much political support as before, okay? And I'm gonna get this there's so much to be said. You're right, Doc, definitely. And let's see. I'm gonna get one more poll from you guys here. I want to see what you guys think about this, okay? So does President Trump currently have the ability to unite the country for a major war, given the recent, or with Epstein? I'll say with Epstein. Okay. Here we go. Let's see what you guys think, okay? The question is this: does President Trump currently have the ability to unite the country for a major war with the release of the Epstein files? And then this is the whole point of it, okay? Like I said, there's so many people are going to cover all the nasty things that have been said and done, and did he do it, did he not do it? I'm focusing on the lack of stability, okay? Again, leadership. What does this do to us strategically? And the belief and the trust of the American people and the system, all these things like that will impact us not just at home for our way of life and our economy, because economic markets love stability, right? Okay, so it's going to affect us there. It's going to affect us for business. It's going to affect us in the international arena. Okay, all these things matter so much. Mr. Bruce Lee, good Lord, sir. Thank you. This is very, very generous of you. I appreciate you. Damn, thank you so much. That is very, very kind, man. Thank you so much, Mr. Bruce Lee. Awesome of you. I appreciate that, brother. Thank you so much. Got to bounce, everyone. Long day tomorrow. Merry Christmas and God bless y'all. The world is crazy, But we're all on the correct path. Just got to keep walking through it. Amen to that. Amen to that. Big thank you to you. Big thank you and Merry Christmas. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. Very, very generous. Very, very generous. Very kind of you. All right, let's see here. So I'm getting 11 votes. I've got yes, 27%. Actually, 11 votes, 25%. Yes, 75%. No, 12 votes. Keep voting, guys. I just want to see what you think. Okay, so I know. And right now, Lisa says no, not at all. Collusion, unsecure signal collusion. There's so much to be said. Trying to rein it in. This is good, guys. Keep the chat going. Keep chatting it up. All the comments matter, and it's good to learn from each other. And I really appreciate you. And again, very, very, very grateful. Very, very generous, Mr. Bruce Lee. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Big, big help for the channel, and big, big help. Thank you. All right, let's watch a little bit more of this here. Want to make sure we get through all this stuff. Now, let's take a look at what's going on. Okay, so, Professor Mearsheimer is saying all these things. He's saying, hey, you got to believe Trump. You got to believe Russia when he says that. And in a minute here, we're going to take a look at what Russia is doing as of now, like yesterday, the day before, okay? And we're going to see he's not BSing.
This is where most Western analysts get it completely wrong. They think Russia is warning about war because Putin wants to rebuild the Soviet empire, or because he's paranoid, or because Russian political culture is inherently aggressive. That's not how this works. Russia is warning about war because, from their perspective, NATO has been encircling them for 30 years. The West has been arming Ukraine to fight a proxy war against them. And now we're talking about Ukrainian NATO membership as if Russian objections are irrelevant. Think about it like a playground. Imagine there's a kid who used to be the toughest in school, but he got sick, lost some weight, isn't as strong as he used to be. Now the other kids are forming a club, and they keep inviting kids who used to be his friends to join. They keep moving closer to where he stands. They keep telling him it's none of his business, that these kids have a right to join whatever club they want. Technically true. But what happens when that club gets close enough? What happens when he believes that club is designed to hurt him? He fights, not because he's evil, not because he's irrational, because he's cornered. That's where Russia is right now, cornered. And cornered great powers are the most dangerous actors in the international system. The warning Russia just issued isn't coming from nowhere.
All right. So let's talk about this, okay? So again, Russia still feels like it's cornered. Even though it's invaded Ukraine, it's taken the war to Ukraine, it's been in war for a while now, they still see, any help, any assistance from NATO for Ukraine as a major threat to them. And as he said, a cornered superpower with a dictator like Putin who's riding the tiger is the most dangerous thing you can think of, okay? All right, let's keep driving on here. And I want to see what the results of our poll were, okay? 14 votes, 79%. President Trump does not currently have the ability to unite the country for a major war with Epstein files, vis-a-vis the Epstein files after the release of that. Okay. Got it. All right. And let's watch this next one here. And I'm going to open up a Q&A really quick as well, too, guys. Ask anything in here and ask it inside. I'm not sure exactly where you guys see it, but put your questions inside the Q&A, and I will highlight it, and we will talk about your question for sure. And I think the big thing to really think about right now is that this is increasing every time they dump more files out there. Let's get back to the original thing we were talking about with the Epstein files being dumped, okay? So what's being released and why it matters? It's not so much the pictures of Trump with people. It's actually the discussions of the prosecutors that are now not redacted, some of them. It's the discussion of, who knew what and the relationship and the flight logs, all these things that just show that the relationship was closer than we thought. And it really calls into question the credibility of the president of the United States. Okay? So it calls into question his credibility and his integrity. And so is he telling the truth? And right now, these things are saying no. Does it show any crime is being committed? It shows knowledge of some crazy stuff. It shows that there's definitely been some knowledge, okay? And if you missed it, one of the things released was a postcard that Jeffrey Epstein wrote, okay, to Nasser, Larry Nasser, the former Olympic trainer for the U.S. Olympic team, the women's gymnastic team, that was accused of molesting these young girls, these 15-year-old, 14, 15, 16-year-old girls, and raping them, okay, by all accounts. And he's serving, prison time. Jeffrey Epstein wrote to him and said, basically, hey, we share one thing. That is the admiration of nubile young girls and the love and admiration of young girls and wanting them to see them reach their highest potential. Our current president also shares this interest and shares this as well too. Okay? He sent this, not a postcard, but he sent a letter to Nasser in prison. 3 days after he died, it got sent. If you guys missed that in the latest dump, okay? I'm not making this stuff up. This is one of the reasons I called this emergency session tonight, all right? A meeting of the minds tonight. I heard this. I said, we got to get on here and we got to talk about this. This is absolutely insane, okay? And I'm actually going to go back. I'm going to rewind just a little bit. And I'm going to play some of that so we can connect the dots again, why we are here talking about this and why this is so important, okay? So I'm going to go back in for those of you that missed some of that and you came maybe a little bit later, all right? And let's take a look here because there's a lot that Michael Popek is covering in Legal AF. And let's go.
Party on Palm Beach Island, Florida, believes the house to belong to Epstein. Before Villanueva took to meet her, that there was some sort of model scout that the property they took them to, they entered the property through the backyard, and they met with a hostess, which she believes to be Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine Maxwell allegedly asked her if she was cool with sex.
All right, here we go. I think this is the part I want to
taking the short route home. So this.
All right, here we go.
Pedophile, sex abuse.
This is the letter that was sent to Larry Nasser.
19. Jeffrey Epstein hanged himself.
So this to me was pretty damning. Okay, not just pretty, incredibly damning. And I'm trying not.
Villanueva told the complainant it wasn't that kind of party. It was for prostitutes.
So I'm not a conspiracy theorist. You guys know this. And I'm trying not to be overly sensational and overly over the top and overly crazy for likes and clicks and all that stuff. I'm trying to get down to what the hell is going on. Again, the purpose of this channel is to upgrade your life, to improve our lives. But when we're in the process of improving, we got to fight through the BS too, and we got to deal with the chaos and the nonsense, okay? And the world on fire. So we got to deal with the current context we're operating in. Like in the Marines, we had to know what the operating environment was. And then we had to still go out and achieve our objectives, okay? And that's what we're doing right now, figuring out what the hell's going on with this. Let's listen.
Prostitutes, and this is all apparently at Mar-a-Lago.
All right. So one thing he said right there, okay, that I'm not doing a good job of covering this in detail, guys. Again, this is an emergency session, right? And I'm going to put this right back on in a second. But what he was just saying, what's significant, is he was just covering the fact that they were soliciting young girls to come to parties, okay, underage girls to come to parties. This is all in written, whether it's deposition or investigation, it's all in the files, okay? These aren't photos and no guessing. This is written there, okay? And I think Ghislaine Maxwell had testified to this as well too, but it's from an old investigation. And the investigation basically says that they invited these girls and they were there for basically a prostitution party. Okay? That's what they said. They said, oh, it's not like a party with cocaine and stuff. They said, no, this is for prostitution. Ghislaine Maxwell told them that. And guess where this was? That's what he said at the end. Again, I just jumped on this as an emergency session. I didn't have a chance to read through all these things and to watch everything, okay? But I had watched this earlier. This was at Mar-a-Lago. I'm not making this up. He just said it, okay? And we'll go back and let's watch some more of this now. So it's hard to refute this when these prostitution parties are going on at Mar-a-Lago. Now, he didn't specifically say they were underage, but that's what they were talking about earlier, was that they were recruiting underage girls, really girls of any age, models, right? And as it's been said many times, they're recruiting 14 to 19, okay? The majority of those numbers there are below the legal age, okay? So, all right, let's go ahead and watch a little bit more of this, because I think he has the most damning piece of evidence, to me at least, comes up in a second. Let's go ahead and watch this, and then we will move on. There we go.
Villanueva told the complainant it wasn't that kind of party. It was for prostitutes. And this is all apparently at Mar-a-Lago. It gets worse for Donald Trump. There is a handwritten letter from Jeffrey Epstein that purports to be from Jeffrey Epstein that is claimed to have been mailed on the 13th of August, 2019. Jeffrey Epstein hanged himself on August the 10th of 2019. And this was some reason he's writing to Larry Nassar, the pedophile, sex abuser, former physician for the women's gymnastics team. And here's what person purporting to be Epstein wrote. As you know by now, I have taken the short route home. So this letter looks like, if it's accurate, and nobody's denied its authenticity, he wrote this with a bunch of other envelopes, hanged himself, and then had them mailed. So for those that are into the conspiracy theory that somebody killed Jeffrey Epstein, he's saying here, I've taken the short route home. Suggests he's writing this letter knowing he's about to hang himself. Good luck. We shared one thing, our love and caring for young ladies and the hope they'd reach their full potential. Look at the delusions of Jeffrey Epstein, even days before he hanged himself, if this is Jeffrey Epstein, talking to Larry Nassar about helping women that they have sexually raped and abused, helping them reach their full potential. But then he goes on, for no good reason, he's about to hang himself. Our president, this is when Trump is president, also shares our love of young, nubile girls. When a young beauty walked by, he loved to grab, snatch, where we ended up snatching grab in the mess hall and of the system, whatever all that means. Life is unfair. Yours, J. Epstein. If this is authentic, this is Jeffrey Epstein basically pointing the finger at Donald Trump and his love for young, nubile girls that he grabs by the genitalia. We know that Donald Trump has a habit of doing that. We have the Access Hollywood tape in which he said that he likes to grab women by their P word. Then we have a new.
All right. So there is a lot here. You guys put in the chat. Just put a 1 in the chat if you think. I'm going to say it. I don't want to say it. I don't want to even say this because this isn't my normal style. But put a 1 in the chat if you think this is the beginning of the end and that impeachment's going to follow. Put a 1 in the chat if you think impeachment's going to follow following this latest release and what else is going to come out. I usually don't even do this, okay? I am politically independent. I'm not, you guys know me. But I want to see what you guys think, okay? Put a 1 in the chat. Yeah, the fire sale is already happening. Put a 1 in the chat if you guys think this is kind of the beginning of the end, if we're going to see impeachment coming soon, okay? And then whether he actually gets impeached, I don't know. But I think you're not going to be able to escape this. I mean, and then I hate to say it too. Again, there's the Marine in me that wants to resist this, that wants to believe, that wants to support the chain of command, all these things like that. So I like, trust me, guys, it's against like my fiber of my being. But remember, he's a 34 count convicted felon. And I believe the felonies, and I might be wrong, but a lot of them were connected to allegations of like sexual misconduct. I don't think that's what he was convicted of. Put in the chat if I'm wrong. I might be wrong. Fact check me. I'm just saying what's off the top of my head. But I think so. I think it's always connected to some type of sex problem. You know? I'm not saying that, I'm not saying it's no one's perfect, but my God. So it's insane. I don't know, Mark. Mark, that's the big question. And knowing you as a retired law enforcement officer too, who mailed those after Epstein died? Relevant question. 100%. I want to know. Remember I was flipping out last Friday? I was flipping out about that lady, and well, we don't know. We treat them all the same, sir. We give no special treatment to anyone. Epstein, doesn't matter if his brain contains all the knowledge of everything that ever happened with our president and with other presidents. Nope, we don't care. Someone mailed them. Who mailed those? What do they see? What do they know? I don't know. It's a great question. I agree with you. It's absolutely nutty. Absolutely nutty. Yeah, we can't ignore this. We can't. I know. Yeah, that's it. That's it, Lisa. Exactly. I mean, I can't keep on looking at this horse and calling it a pig, right? It's a pig. No, it's a horse, right? So, yeah, there's a lot of wackiness afoot. Okay. All right, let's watch a little bit more because it's relevant. It's relevant to what we're talking about. Again, I'm not just trying to do conspiracy theory and sensational crap and clickbait. I don't do conspiracy stuff. This is relevant. It's real. And that's why we're talking about it. Here we go. Here's some more. He says it gets worse. I don't remember this part. Let's see.
By their P word. Then we have a new piece of document here we never knew about before, which is from the department, an assistant U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York, January of 2020. January 8th, just a couple of days after the Jan 6th insurrection. And he says, for your situational awareness, we don't know who he's writing to, we wanted to let you know that the flight records we received yesterday reflect that Donald Trump traveled on Epstein's private jet many more times than previously has been reported, or that we were aware, including during the period we would expect to charge in a Maxwell case. So these are people that are working on the Maxwell case under Maureen Comey, James Comey's daughter, who's the U.S. attorney, assistant U.S. attorney. In particular, he's listed as a passenger on at least 8 flights between 93 and...
Is this why he came after Comey? Is this why he came after Comey? Is this like, you know what I mean? Because his daughter was on this? This is 2020. They already knew about it. I want you to think about this. This is 2020. They already knew he was lying about not being on his plane. It's all in there. Cover up goes deep. Cover up after protecting each other. This is why I say it's the collapse, and don't take my word for it. John Mearsheimer said something like this too. It's the collapse of the, they might have competition against each other's politicians, but it's the secret keeping, protecting each other's backs. The ruling political class, political elite, it's like it's an implosion over this. Because now the American people are seeing how many lies and cover-ups and protecting each other. Because there were Democrats and Republicans on this thing. On the airplane, on the island. This guy, Epstein, was out to get them all. Get them all infected so he, nothing would happen. I saw another thing he said to everybody, he said to somebody, they're going to kill me. It was actually during an interview, during a deposition, a legal hearing. He said, they're going to kill me for this. They will kill me. Okay? I said last week I thought he did not hang himself, that he was murdered. That's what I think. Now, this letter he sent makes me think otherwise. He said, I've taken the short road home. He said, by now when you read this, you will know that I've taken the short road home. 2 things. A, he knew he was going to be murdered. B, he knew he was going to kill himself. Probably most likely, given that letter that's newly released, no one's ever seen that except for today when it was released last night at midnight, that he hung himself. I think to me it's leaning in that favor. As much as I want to believe someone killed him, I just never thought he'd kill himself. I never thought he would. He had all the money, all the protections. He had you know, he had President Trump still, in his pocket more or less. But I think he also knew eventually they would kill him. I think they would have killed him had he not killed himself. And he may have been told, I want to say this. He may have been told this, kill yourself. Kill yourself, get it over with. Don't let us do it. Don't let us get a hold of you. Who knows? Who the hell knows? But he said it before in one of these interviews, they will kill me for this. Okay? Why am I talking about it? Why is a retired Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel talking about this? Why is a battalion commander talking about this? Why do I care? Why is an executive coach that helps people build their businesses, does leadership development, helps people become better leaders? Why do I care? Why am I talking about this? I'm not talking about it, like I said, for the salacious details. I'm talking about it, what it does to our system as Americans, okay? And how it undermines our trust, our political will, our system, our belief in our system of government and our leaders, transparency, all those things. That's why I'm talking about it. Just so we're all clear if you're just joining us. And guys, while I'm at it, don't forget to please hit the like button. It's going to help the channel, helps the algorithm. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. If you're watching on the replay, please subscribe. If you're new here, please subscribe. That way you'll get alerted for my wacky emergency sessions I hold sometimes. Now I've had a couple of these. And I go live every Friday at 7 p.m., every Sunday at 4 p.m., and then it'll alert you for the lives as well, too. So please subscribe. It also helps the channel. I'd really appreciate your support on that. Thank you. Okay, so let's watch a little bit more of this. And then we're going to go back into what's going on with Putin and Russia. And we're going to tie it all in together. And eventually, I promise, it is Christmas Eve. I will shut this down eventually. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for letting me do what I love. Thank you for being here with me and for putting your trust in me and spending time with me tonight. Really appreciate it. It means the world. I appreciate all of you. I just want to say that as well, too. Those of you who've been with me since the beginning of growing this, we just started up in May, started doing live streams, which were horrible back in June, where I couldn't even turn the damn thing on. And here we are. All right, let's watch some more. I think he has some more to tell us.
96, including at least 4 flights in which Maxwell was present. This is obviously Maxwell preparation material. He is listed as having traveled with, among others, Marla Maples, his daughter Tiffany, and his son Eric. We actually have some photos of that. On one flight, he and Epstein are the only listed passengers. On the other, it's Epstein, Trump, and a then 20-year-old fill in the blank. On 2 occasions, 2 of the passengers, respectively, were women who would be possible witnesses in the Maxwell case. We just finished reviewing the full records. Didn't want any of this to be a surprise down the road. Trial attorney working on the Maxwell case, obviously. And then around the same time, or a year later, October 5th of 2021, another assistant U.S. attorney, or the same one, there's a subpoena that was issued to Mar-a-Lago. It says, we command that you appear at Foley Square, 40 Foley Square, where the U.S. Department of Justice operates in New York, on November 29th at 9 a.m. in the case of United States versus Ghislaine Maxwell, and not to depart the court without leave thereof. So this was actually reporting to a courtroom 906, and bring with you any and all employment records relating to blank. We don't know who the blank was, but we know that Mar-a-Lago was the subject of this subpoena. This is just the beginnings, folks. This is the reason that Donald Trump did not like and did not want to be transparent to the American people. This is what the Department of Justice had to say once it realized that there were bad items being released against Donald Trump. So they issued this on social media. The Department of Justice has officially released nearly 30,000 more pages of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein. Some of these documents contain untrue and sensationalist claims made against President Trump that were submitted to the FBI right before the 2020 election. Not all of them. To be clear,
this is insane. Insane that they're trying to act like, I just don't understand it. I don't understand how you can be so blindly loyal. I don't know. It's insane. It's insane, and it's almost time for another poll here. It's friggin' nuts. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going here. I know I'm in the small little box.
Not the Epstein handwritten note. To be clear, the claims are unfounded and false, and if they had a shred of credibility, they certainly would have been weaponized against President Trump already. Nevertheless, out of our commitment to law and transparency, we're releasing these documents. Never talk about the Epstein handwritten diary entry about Donald Trump and young nubile women.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So I used to be of that camp. And you guys that have been with me for a while now know that I used to say that. I used to say, well, I don't think there's a smoking gun. They would have already used it and weaponized it against him already. And I really believed that, okay? But who had control of this thing, of this book and these things? There are hundreds of thousands of files, okay? Did they never think to use this thing against him? This, diary entry and the letter he sent to Larry Nassar accusing him of that? And maybe they were afraid that maybe they all have dirt on each other. And that if you release that, if you go there, we're going to go here. Don't go there. We don't want to play that way. I don't know. All I know is, as I've said before, where there's smoke, there's fire. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And it is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. And I think this is just the beginning. You guys give me a 1 in the chat if you think this is just the beginning. Please give me a 1 in the chat if you guys think this is just the beginning and this is just the tip of the iceberg and more is going to come out. And I've asked you guys about this before, that if this is the beginning of the end, but is more going to come out, more and more, and is this going to include not just President Trump but other senior leaders as well too? Well-known figures. Put a 1 in the chat if you think it's gonna blow up even more. Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys, your feedback. Yep, exactly, GQ guy. Paul, Lisa, Nick, Unsecure Signal. Yep, Steve. Yep, just some dude. Doc. Yep. Propaganda. Sue, Paul. Yep, I agree. I think so too. And you guys know me. I was trying to play it even. I was not the one, stoking the fire on this and saying, hey, all this stuff. I wasn't trying to ride this wave. It's just, you can't ignore it. It's here. So, all right. So again, in line with what John Mearsheimer said, talking about the wolves are circling and they're testing us. Let's see what old Putin is up to. Oh, here we go. Wow, imagine this. How nice. Just in time for Christmas, he's going to shoot down all the satellite internet Starlink satellites that Elon Musk has given to Ukraine. How cool.
5, 4, 3.
Panics as Russia moves to level 1 of Ukraine's most critical battlefield advantages, Starlink. Western intelligence agencies now suspect Moscow is developing new anti-satellite capabilities, including a so-called zone effect weapon that could cripple Elon Musk's Starlink constellation, even as Russia quietly integrates the same technology into its own military drones. Starlink has become mission critical for Ukraine's war effort, powering frontline communications, weapons targeting, and command networks, especially where Russian strikes have knocked out traditional infrastructure. As the war enters its 4th year, Moscow appears to be pursuing a dual-track strategy: neutralize Starlink in orbit while exploiting it on the battlefield. According to intelligence findings seen by the Associated Press, the suspected zone effect weapon would flood Starlink's orbital paths with clouds of high-density pellets, potentially disabling multiple satellites at once. The aim? Blunt Western space superiority that has helped Ukraine hold its ground.
I can't say I've been briefed on that type of system, but it's not improbable.
All right. So we see Russia is becoming bolder. Why didn't they do this before? Did they have the capability? Of course they did. They had the capability to do this. China and Russia both have been experimenting for a long time. Russia's been known to have this capability. I remember being briefed on it. The capability to shoot down satellites. They've already had it. Why do you think they're using it now? Because this is a big deal. You're shooting down satellites. Oh, by the way, that low orbital field with satellites has other satellites around too. Chinese, US, all this stuff like that. You don't think there's a chance that that debris could hit a US satellite? Maybe. You take some risk when you do these things. But why do you think, guys, put it in the chat, all right? Tell me what. Do you think the situation with the Epstein files and President Trump's being embattled at home intensifying? Do you think that's why? Give me a 1. Put a 1 in the chat if you think Putin sees weakness and blood in the water and is deciding to push on the war at a new strategic level, not just conventional firing, structures and supply lines. He's taking it to space, knocking out strategic communication systems. This is a freaking massive deal, okay? Guess what? China had talked about this. One of the first things they said they would do in a war, China would knock out U.S. satellites. Russia has said the same thing before. Why haven't they done it? They haven't done it probably because they knew this was an escalation, not because they couldn't have before, okay? This is because, just put it a 1 in the chat if you guys think that this is because of they're knocking these satellites out now, attacking them in space because of the situation President Trump is in and we are in as a political system with the Epstein files. You think it's a planned escalation? Okay, I believe you. I see that. Hey, Cedric, what's going on, man? Yeah. Yep, exactly. Propaganda, exactly. Well, I think so too. Escalation ladder, I think you're right. But I also think it's a perfect time. I think it's a perfect timing. It's suitable. They see that Trump is in trouble. So, can President Trump even deliver on things he's saying to Putin right now? Right? Putin's like, I'm taking the war into my own hands. What's he going to do? What are you going to do? You have another distraction to start a war with us? More? You can't mobilize. That might be what she's thinking too. Okay? Yeah, Nick. It's a U.S. company, so it'd be pretty big escalation. That's what I'm saying. Tesla is a U.S. company as well. Whether they do it or not, who knows? Ukraine apparently fully depends on Starlink. I think they're going to do it. Yep, it affects the drones. It sure does. This affects the drones. Who benefits? Well, whoever makes drones and sells them, right? It definitely is going to help. It's going to help Russia in a lot of ways. I will tell you, a lot of the drones over there now are also being command wired, so that you can't spoof them and you can't jam them. Okay, they have some type of like a tow missile system. If you guys remember that, the tow missile. So there's a lot. There's a lot here, guys. And I appreciate all the good knowledge. You guys have a lot of Russia benefits, of course. That's right. Lots of stuff here. All right, let's keep watching. I appreciate all of you guys and all your knowledge and sharing it. We all learn together. Like I said, I don't claim to know everything. I claim to be very curious, and I know a thing or two, but very curious in all this. And I love to learn together with you guys and get your opinions and get your take on it too, because we can all do better. We put our heads together, which is friggin' awesome. All right, let's see here. Now, so what's going on now also with China? Almost as if on command 1 day ago, right? Not even 1 day ago. It's a few hours ago. Actually, no, a few days ago, okay? This is about the arms deal with Taiwan.
The United States has approved an $11 billion weapons sale to Taiwan. It marks Washington's largest ever arms package to the self-ruled island, sparking backlash from China. Taiwan's defense ministry says the proposed sale covers items including HIMARS rocket systems, howitzers, anti-tank missiles, drones, and parts for other equipment. It adds the move reflects America's commitment to Taiwan's security. The purchase is expected to take effect in about a month. Now, China has condemned the sale, accusing Washington of seriously violating the One China principle. It says arming the island is dangerous.
挽救不了台独必然灭亡的命运，只会加速把台海推向兵凶战危的境地。美方以武助独，只会引火烧身；以台制华，绝对不会得逞。
Straight to CNA's senior correspondent, Victoria Jen, joining us live from Taipei. Victoria, what does this U.S. arms sale tell us about Taiwan's defense direction and Washington's support for that?
Well, this mega deal shows just how quickly the U.S. is boosting support for Taiwan as China steps up military pressure. Now, the package includes weapons that are mobile, fast response, that are suited for asymmetric defense, which the U.S. has been encouraging Taiwan to adopt. It also lines up with President William Lai's overall defense goals. He's trying to show Washington that Taiwan is serious about beefing up its military because meeting U.S. expectations.
All right. So what I want to say here is that with China and Taiwan, and I think it's important to understand that China just has done some very aggressive maneuvers around Japan, not only Taiwan, they do it all the time, right? But they have done some aggressive maneuvers around Japan even too, trying to show who's the most dominant player in the region, okay? And so, again, a weakened U.S. political system, a weakened U.S. popular support, weakened U.S. political will not allow us to mobilize fast if we have a lot of infighting. People are getting subpoenaed in the Department of Justice now, and people are getting subpoenaed everywhere. The American people aren't believing. Now, I want to tell you something, though. In strategic thinking, strategic thought, one of the oldest plays in the book, okay, one of the oldest plays in the playbook is strategic distraction, okay, in order to keep the domestic population calm, okay? Do you think, I'm going to ask you guys this, a poll. Do you think we would start a war, it could be a small one, in order to distract the U.S. population from a negative political issue? Now, this is some real conspiracy stuff, but it's not. Okay, this is very Machiavellian, and this is a strategy employed throughout history. Okay? And I'm going to say this. Would the administration, I'm going to say, okay, would the Trump admin start a war? I have to shorten up the number of words here. Sorry, guys. Would the Trump administration start a war to distract the U.S. population from a negative political issue? Let's just call it like it is. Epstein. From Epstein, if it gets bad. Okay? Maybe not the best written question, but would the Trump administration start a war to distract the U.S. population from the Epstein files, Epstein releases, Epstein problems, if it really starts getting bad? Okay, I got one person already saying no. That means I have 7 people saying yes. And you might be right. You might be right. But I'm going to tell you, external activity, like external wars, external skirmishes, external enemy, a common enemy overcomes a lot of stuff like this, okay? Distraction. We don't have time to deal with this now. We don't have time to deal with the 34 felony counts. I just got elected. We can deal with that later. But for right now, I got to run the country, okay? I'm being kind of funny, but I'm not being that funny, right? The only thing that saved President Trump was being elected, okay? And again, like I said, I'm politically independent. I call it like I see it. I'm not one side or the other. Call it like I see it. But it's all coming together in my head right now, right? We don't have time to deal with this Epstein stuff. That's a bunch of bullshit. That's in the past. Don't worry about it. We got to fight this war against China because their aggression. And we got to fight Russia. Russia's about to invade NATO. We got to get down there in Venezuela. We got to hit those tankers. We got to blah, blah, blah. We got to get that oil back. They've taken everything. We got to, I mean, I even heard something as crazy today. I heard something as crazy today that we were going to invade Canada. Or we're talking about it. And Canada's getting ready to fight back. Did you guys hear this? Put a 1 in the chat if you heard this. I saw this today as I was researching for this. It's got to be some conspiracy bullshit. But did you hear this? That Canada's like ramping up its infantry force, its ground force at home because of they're worried that we might invade, that they're looking at what's going on with Venezuela and they're looking at the language that's being used in rhetoric. And they're worried that we're going to pull a Crimea on Canada. Has anybody heard that? I might just be nuts. And now I'm really going down the conspiracy. Did you hear that? Okay, disruptive applications. Okay, anybody else hear that? Put a 1 if you heard that. And if you didn't hear that, tell me. Or just put like a 2, okay? A 2, put a 2 if you didn't hear it. Put a 1 if you heard that Canada's concerned we might invade them. I've never heard this. I just heard it today. And it was like a credible kind of discussion going on. And they showed like it's a Canadian general talking about it. Yeah, Greenland, 51st state. Yeah, you heard about Greenland today? Okay. And so you heard 2. Okay, no, you hadn't heard it. All right. Some people have. Okay, no. Well, I just heard it today. Anyway, I'm totally getting us off topic here. I apologize. But the distraction, this is what we really need to talk about. Okay? Okay, well now, hey, I guess some breaking news there, Brady. You got breaking news for everybody that this is what I heard. And it could be total bullshit, could be total conspiracy, but I saw it, okay? And it seemed like a pretty credible source. I didn't put it in here because I didn't fully vet it yet, but I'll look at it. I'll tee that up for Friday, okay? So here's the question. Would the Trump administration start a war to distract the U.S. population from Epstein if it gets bad? The vast majority say yes. 73% are saying yes. 27% are saying no. Okay, it is wild, people. It is wild. And if you're new to the chat, if you're new to the channel, you're new to the live stream, vote on this for me. I want to see what you guys think. Would the Trump administration start a war to distract the U.S. population from Epstein if it gets bad? Okay. Again, and if you're new here as well too, I'm politically independent. I call it like I see it. I'm bringing this up for us to analyze, assess, and hear from many voices in the chat. And you guys have a voice just like I do. I'm just kind of running this show here, and so we can all learn together. And I appreciate your contributions, and I appreciate all of your opinions too. And so let's go ahead and watch a little bit more here. Okay, so we see there Putin and company. Russia's about to start shooting down Starlink satellites. Okay, that's the next thing. China's getting crazy, right? Getting upset because of our deal in Taiwan. But there's more. But wait, there's more. There is more. And this possibly is the most important thing. One of the most important things. They're all important. But this possibly is the most important thing for right now. Okay? And another one of the things that prompted me to hold this live stream tonight. Okay? China warns Trump after U.S. Navy hits Chinese oil tanker. World War III soon? ? Let's hear it.
This story could mark a turning point in global geopolitics. Over the weekend of December 20 to 21, the United States intercepted and seized an oil tanker carrying nearly 1.8 million barrels of Venezuelan crude oil. The destination? China. The location? Off the coast of Venezuela. Washington claims the ship was part of Venezuela's so-called shadow fleet, operating under a false flag to evade U.S. sanctions on the Maduro regime. But for Beijing, this was not law enforcement. This was an act of piracy. China's foreign ministry bluntly called the seizure a serious violation of international law, accusing the United States of attacking sovereign rights and free trade. This is where the story gets dangerous, because this was not just about Venezuela. This was about China's energy security. Venezuela supplies up to 15% of China's crude oil imports, and for Beijing, interfering with that supply is a direct strategic threat. The Trump administration, meanwhile, is escalating pressure on Garacos, floating ideas of renewed sanctions, even a potential naval blockade. And now, China and Russia have both stepped in, pledging diplomatic support for Venezuela. So, the big question is this: could China take massive offense and jump into the US-Venezuela conflict? And could a direct showdown between Xi Jinping and Donald Trump push the world closer to a global war? Experts say direct military intervention by China is unlikely, but indirect involvement is very much on the table.
All right. So there we have it, okay? We eventually are going to start, pissing some people off, right? We're seizing oil tankers. Venezuela provides 15% of China's oil needs. I want you to think about that for a minute, okay? 15%. And we're just shutting it down, all right? If you had 15% of your money taken, how would you feel about that? All right. Now, maybe they're not going to go to war, but they're going to put diplomatic pressure. They're going to make other things hard for us. They might put more tariffs on it. They might sanction us somehow. Means, honestly, cost of goods, cost of things could rise even more. Again, it's their playbook. Make the American people unhappy, disenfranchised, not believe in the government. If your cost of living goes up even more, I'll tell you what, it's problems politically at home. So all of these things have a cost. We call this a cost-imposing strategy. So, okay, you want to do that? You want to seize our oil tankers? We're going to make problems for you. We're going to cause problems for you, okay? Oh, those rare earth metals that you wanted? Yeah, sorry, we can't get them for you. Those things that we have that you don't, that you need, yeah, we're not going to give them for you, okay? All right, I got a question from Nick. Let me get to this. Is the U.S. blockade technically an act of war? Even back in the Cuban Missile Crisis, I remember hearing that they avoided using the word blockade due to the escalation. I believe it is. What I'm hearing, Nick, is that it is, okay? That is an act of war. If you blockade somebody from receiving goods and receiving energy and resources, that what they're saying right now politically, they're saying this politically on the Hill from a lot of leaders in the Senate and Congress, that this is an act of war. It's an escalation. It's actually an act of war. Now, it really will get to be an act of war if we start sinking their ships, right? Like a true blockade, okay? Where we start sinking their ships, we sink, we start doing what the Germans did in their submarine campaign, right? When they blockaded Great Britain and Europe, and they were using their submarines to sink cargo ships, okay? So what we're doing is we're seizing them. And like, President Trump said that one time we seized the oil tanker. What are we going to do? Well, we're probably just going to take the oil, okay? So, yeah, this is an act of war. I would say so, okay? Technically, if we look it up, does it say that? All I can go with right now off the top of my head is what has been being said by congressional leaders, right? In both parts of the Senate and in Congress, okay? And I do believe it's an escalation in that as well, where it's escalating to an act of war, especially if it's a total and complete blockade, not letting food through, things like that. Right now, it's targeted to sanction ships for carrying oil away to China and to Iran, and I think anywhere at this point. They have sanctioned certain ships that aren't allowed to deliver. I think it's all the oil tankers. But I think as far as getting like food and other material in, I don't know. If they're blockading everything, like they're worried that they're getting war material in, things like that, then yeah, definitely this is an act of war. Okay? In my opinion. What other questions we have? Any other questions? I know I missed one earlier, so if you want to re-put your question in there, I apologize. I missed your question earlier. All right, guys, there's a lot going on. We got a lot happening, okay? And I appreciate your time. I appreciate all you guys watching, okay? Appreciate you being here. Absolutely fantastic to spend Christmas Eve with all of you. No place I'd rather be than right here, right now with all of you guys. You're amazing. I appreciate generosity from Mr. Bruce Lee. Absolutely fantastic. All my members out there. And guys, you can join my YouTube membership and, get some exclusive content that's going to be starting up very soon here. I've also got my Ferocious Optimist coaching membership and community, which is absolutely awesome. I've got some of my members in the audience as well, too. Links will be in my bio for that. You guys can go to my bio and see the links for my coaching membership, my community, also my YouTube membership. Would love to have you join. It'd be absolutely fantastic. I'd appreciate the support there as well. Great way to celebrate Christmas. And also, you can give yourself the gift of personal development and community. And if you're looking to make a breakthrough this year, okay, no better place to do that than in my Ferocious Optimist coaching membership and community. And the link is in the bio for that. Every Friday and every Sunday, I walk everybody through. I actually will go and share the screen and show you how to walk through there, find it, locate it, and check it out and see what it's all about. But I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for being here. I will see you guys on Friday. This is the warm-up. Friday, we're going to really hit it hard. Okay, it's going to be an awesome, probably a Benathon, as everybody who's been with me for a while, we call it a Benathon. It'll probably be over 4 hour. I think we did 4.5 hours last week. So it'll be a Benathon, a over 4 hour live stream. So join me 7 p.m. Eastern time on Friday, this Friday the 26th. I hope you all have a very, very Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, and please just take care of yourselves out there, guys. Be careful. And like I always say, make yourselves better, make the world better. Have an amazing, amazing Christmas and holiday season, and go get yours. I will see you all Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Remember to like this video. Remember to subscribe. Remember to share, okay? I really appreciate it. And I hope you guys join my YouTube membership, and you take a look and check out my Ferocious Optimist coaching membership and community. The link is in my bio here in YouTube. Doesn't cost you anything to check it out. In fact, you can admire some of my work. And I'll see you guys all on Friday. Thank you so much. Take care, guys. We'll see you. Merry Christmas.